What is going on, everybody? Kyle Murray from FTN Daily back again with the Prize Picks Prop Show. Week 10 of the NFL season is here, and I got some of my favorite picks for you this week. Injuries around the NFL have kind of left some of the prop boards a little bit light, waiting for news on guys like Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, all that stuff. So not as many options to pick from, so only 3 picks today. But, you can use these 3 picks to maybe round out a 5-pick play that you might like later in the week. But these are 3 of my favorite plays of the week. Before we do get started, if you're a new user at Prize Picks, head over there, use code FTN, get a 100% match up to $200 with that code. Great way to get a bankroll going over there. But if you're also not a member at FTN Daily, FTN Bets, FTN Fantasy, whatever it may be, right now you can actually get a 3-day trial for free on any of those sites. So head over there and get that free trial going there. 3-day free trial to check out all the content that we have behind the paywall over on those sites. Highly recommend doing that. Before we get into my picks, let me know who your favorite picks are for this week's over at Prize Picks in the comments below. I'm very curious to see who you guys are on. I know a couple of you guys put some picks in there last week, and I believe 2 of the 3 picks in the comment section below cashed. So keep those coming down there in the comments below. But now for my picks. Pick number 1, Travis Etienne over 75.5 rushing yards. We've been pretty much attacking Etienne all year long. Early on in the season, we did have James Robinson in town, so we had Etienne at some lower lines. And it's been, a successful journey so far. My model has Etienne for about 95 rushing yards on the week against Kansas City, which, the one thing that I am concerned about here is the game script. It could go fairly sideways pretty quickly. It's a 9.5 point spread here for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but the matchup is superb. This Kansas City defense has been bad. So in terms of what we're seeing from Jacksonville, it is, I'm hoping that they can keep the game close, hoping that they can essentially keep Etienne involved on the ground. But regardless, I think that they're going to make it a point to involve him. If you want to attack Etienne's touchdown prop or his receiving prop, I think that those are also very strong bets. This defense has just been bad to running backs in general, and allowing the 4th most fantasy points. So even if you want to look at the fantasy score for Etienne, I do think that pretty much anywhere you can look here, Etienne does have a good prop bet here. Like I mentioned, my model has him for 95 yards, so about 20 yards over where Prize Picks has their line, so a nice little edge there. Let's get on to pick number 2, though, which is probably my favorite pick of the week. I absolutely love this pick. Dameon Pierce over 77.5 rushing yards. Pierce has been fantastic this year. Last week we saw him run for a measly 140 yards. He wasn't able to find the end zone, not doing anything spectacular in terms of fantasy. He didn't find the end zone, didn't catch a ton of passes, so it was a fairly lackluster fantasy performance. But in terms of a real fantasy or a real football performance, 140 yards, I think it was 139 yards. That is a very impressive showing there. Now he gets a matchup against this New York Giants defense, they're a very inefficient run defense, right? They're 24th against the run. They're allowing 5.41 yards per carry, over 111 rushing yards per game to opposing running backs. They do shut down running backs in terms of a fantasy perspective because they don't allow a ton of touchdowns on the ground. They don't allow a ton of work out of the backfield against them. But in terms of how they are against the run, they're not very good. Like I mentioned, 5.41 yards per carry, and I think that this matchup sets up perfectly for Pierce. It's exactly what they want to do with Pierce in Houston. They want to turn around, hand the ball 20 to 25 times, and eat away at the clock, let him chip away at the defense. And the Giants have not been good at defending the running backs in those sorts of scenarios. So I think this is a very good spot for Dameon Pierce, who has been electric this season. So Dameon Pierce over 77.5 rushing yards, one of my favorite plays of the week. Like I mentioned earlier, 5.41 yards per carry allowed for the Giants. Dameon Pierce is averaging almost 5 yards per carry on the ground himself. So again, I think this just sets up as a really strong matchup for the rookie running back out of Florida over there in Houston. Pick number 3, Darnell Mooney over 43.5 receiving yards. Pretty low line. We saw Darnell Mooney have a solid game last week. He found the end zone. Justin Fields starting to get some hype around the industry finally, after a couple of pretty much 2 years straight of people kind of wondering when Justin Fields was going to turn out to be the guy that we all wanted and expected him to be. And Mooney, if Justin Fields continues to rise, Mooney's going to be right alongside with him there. And this is a great matchup to benefit here. Now, in terms of what the Lions have been doing, they're allowing 191 receiving yards per game to opposing wide receivers, over 13.5 catches per game. 9.3 yards per target, a 66% catch rate. They rank 26th in passing DVOA. It's just brutal, right? The defense has been bad. They added Chase Claypool, which could essentially take some eyes off of Darnell Mooney over there on the other side of the field. Cole Kmet's kind of finally coming into a tight end that we've, again, all wanted and expected to be a pretty solid option. You have two running backs in the Chicago backfield that have been doing a solid job, so I don't think the defense will be able to key in on Darnell Mooney, and I don't even think that's a big issue regardless. It's Detroit defense. They have been bad against everybody that they've seen. So those are the 3 picks. To recap, Travis Etienne over 75.5 rushing yards, Dameon Pierce over 77.5 rushing yards, and to round us out, Darnell Mooney over 43.5 rushing yards. That's going to do it for me. Again, let me know in the comments below who are your favorite picks this week. And if you're a new user at PrizePicks, head over there, use code FTN, get a 100% match up to $100. And again, don't forget to head over to FTN Bets, FTN Daily, FTN Fantasy, and try out that 3-day free trial. It's only available for a limited time, so I highly recommend checking that out, see what we have behind the paywall. But if you want to continue to check out the stuff that is in front of the paywall, subscribe to the YouTube channel over here. We really do appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. We'll see you guys next time. Good luck, everybody.